All right, everybody, got the Toyota back in the shop. Now, I know it's been a while since I've posted a video, but I have been working on some long form videos for you guys. You guys really liked the complete, basically start to finish engine swap in that Tacoma. And I've got a couple videos along those lines coming at you. So I've got the complete rebuild, my bomber fab car coming your way, and we're gonna see it get stripped down to a bare chassis and then put all back together. We're gonna go over a bunch of changes I made to that thing, and then we're gonna throw it in the trailer, take it down local off-road park, have a little bit of fun with it. I'm gonna go actually a pretty special event. It's gonna be lots of fun. So I'll take you with me on that. Basically, that's one video. I'm also working on another complete engine swap video for you guys. That's gonna be the complete guide to swapping an LS into your Jeep JK. So that one is the next big engine swap video that I'm working on. Then also I have another big video that I'm working with my friends at eBay Motors on with that Tacoma right there. And that's gonna be a pretty ambitious project for that truck. But a lot of you have been asking for updates on that truck, and so I thought what I'd do right now is just basically throw together a quick video for you guys, answer a bunch of questions that came up on the video, and then just sort of get you up to speed with what's going on with the truck right now. So let's start at the beginning with the truck itself. What's the truck? Where did it come from? Now, for those of you who don't remember, this is my 2005 Toyota Tacoma. This is a standard cab, 6-foot bed Toyota Tacoma. It started on my TV show Four Wheeler, where we did the All-Pro mid-travel suspension, All-Pro bumpers, both front and rear, fiberglass fenders up front. These are Fiberworks on the front, and then a set of fiberglass bedsides on the back. And then I put this canvas topper on the top of it. What I was trying to do is basically build a truck that would pay homage to those classic Toyota 4Runners that I love so much, like the two-door 4Runner in the back. And I think we kind of pulled it off. Put it on these 35-inch tires, and it's got Radflow coilovers up front, and then a smooth body shock in the back. I really didn't know how much I'd fall in love with this truck. I really have never really considered myself a Toyota guy, even though I do like them a lot. I really sort of think I'm more of a Jeep guy. But what happened was, after driving this truck, absolutely fell in love with it. It was so much fun. Had a little 4-cylinder underneath the hood, manual transmission. You know, I put a Detroit locker in the back, but I left the front wide open, re-geared it to 513s. And it was a great truck. Took it on a trip called Yukon Adventure Truck, where we cruised around, basically went from, I think it was Park City, Utah, down to Moab. It was a great trip. But on that trip, popped the motor, lost the 4-cylinder. And upon investigation, I found out that that 4-cylinder was only available for a few years, and even to get a used long block was incredibly expensive. So I then went ahead and swapped in this. This is the best part of this truck. Underneath the hood of this truck is a 2004 2UZ 4.7 liter V8 engine. I used an adapter kit to keep the manual transmission, and this thing is integrated seamlessly into this truck. I'll put a link to the actual engine swap video somewhere up here so you can see it. That video, you guys loved it because it was basically every single step that it took to get this engine underneath the hood of this truck and running and driving. And I have been daily driving it for a while now. Basically, it's become my second rig. I absolutely love driving it every single day. It's just a fun truck to drive. I've taken on a couple little short little adventure trips here and there. It hasn't done a big trip yet. I'm really kind of feeling out what that big trip is going to be. But as I said, we got a video that we're working together with my friends at eBay Motors, and I think this is going to be the truck that we take on that big adventure. And so that's going to be where it all comes together. So today what I need to do is just take care of a couple odds and ends on the truck. Nothing too crazy. There's a few things I'm going to do just to make daily driving it a little bit nicer until I get the basically the pile of parts that have to come in for the next big upgrade for this vehicle. So let's just start there right off the beginning. First thing I'm going to do, swap out the headlights. Now, I thought these headlights were just going to basically pop right out of here because, you know, there's just 2 bolts up here and then 1 bolt down here. But I forgot about the fact that there is a bolt way up in there. I don't even see it. There's a 1 Phillips head screw way up in there that is incredibly hard to get to. Now, the good news is my friends at Craftsman just sent me this 120 piece mechanics tool set. It's basically SAE and metric, and it is their overdrive kit. Now, what the overdrive kit refers to are the little grooves that are in all of the sockets. So as you can see in these sockets right here, there's these little grooves that are in the sockets, and those same grooves are in the closed end of all of the wrenches. Now, what that's designed to do is grip fasteners that are up to 70% worn. That means that if you have a fastener that's slightly rounded, those little grooves have a greater chance of biting into it and helping you loosen off that fastener. Now, they sent me these kits to basically throw in my off-road rigs and maybe my daily drivers, like this Toyota right here, just to have a set of tools when I'm on the road, because I like to always do that. But right now, this kit is going to save my bacon because the ratchets in this kit, they have a 1/2 inch drive ratchet, a 3/8 drive ratchet, and then a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, which is already out right here. These ratchets are 180 tooth ratchets, which means they're a very fine tooth ratchet. So you can hear it turn. They are an incredibly fine tooth ratchet. Now, what that means is when we're working in tight places, like I'm trying to get that 1 screw that's behind that bumper out, I don't have to move the ratchet very far to be able to turn the fastener. Now, these kits, they come in a bunch of different setups. This particular one is the 121 piece that comes with Allen's, both 1/4 and metric. Good set of wrenches, 10 through 15, 5/8 down to 3/8. Bunch of sockets in both 3/8 and 1/2 inch drive, as well as 1/4 inch drive. Couple spark plug sockets, bits to do what you need, nut drivers, universal joint, couple of extensions, and like I said, the 1/2 inch, 3/8 drive, and 1/4 inch drive ratchet, which I am going to use right now. Ooh, that is a tight fit. There we go. Now, the reason I'm changing these headlights is actually kind of humorous. So you can see on this one obviously the seal has failed and it is full of water, which makes driving this at night kind of useless because this headlight isn't even doing anything. These are just super cheap headlights that came with the truck, so I'm just replacing them with another set that I picked up online. But the main reason that I want to change them is, believe it or not, one of the very first test drives I took on this truck, I was leaking water. And I thought engine's overheating, loose radiator hose, loose heater hose, something along those lines. But that wasn't it. I pulled over and I stopped, and there was just a drip at the front of the truck. And it looked like it was the overflow hose because it was drip, 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 drip. And I thought, oh, goodness gracious, one of my custom radiator hoses failed because I had some custom hoses on it at the time. And that wasn't it. What was actually happening was this headlight was so full of water. It had like rained or something the day before. I don't know what goes on, where the water gets in on this headlight. I'm assuming it comes down the hood and gets in right here or right here somewhere. This headlight was full of water to here, and it was just dripping out. And it fooled me into thinking that I had an actual leak in my cooling system. Stressed me out. So I immediately jumped online and just bought a new set of headlights. And I'm just going to toss those in right now just so I can have them done. And then I don't have to worry about that. Plus, it's going to look a lot better than having that fishbowl headlight. like the look of those headlights. That looks really good. You may have noticed I put the V8 badge from the Tundra on the grill. Just had to do it. Okay, so updates on the Tacoma. So let's start with what I've changed since I initially got the V8 underneath the hood. And the biggest thing I changed was the radiator and the coolant hoses. I actually had some custom coolant hoses to fit the stock Tacoma 4-cylinder radiator, and I actually had one fail, which I did not like. I'd used a plastic coupler that I actually got from the parts store. It's designed for basically coupling radiator hoses together, and it literally melted. So I knew that wasn't going to work. Someone had mentioned in the comments that I should try a Toyota 4Runner radiator because essentially the front sheet metal would be identical, and they came with the 4.7 liter V8. So that's what I did. I went ahead and I swapped out the radiator. This is now the Toyota 4Runner radiator. I was still able to use the mounts from the Tacoma. Those were all fine. The shroud I had to modify slightly to make it work because this is the shroud out of the 4-cylinder, and the reason I wanted to reuse it was because I still had the overflow bottle into it, and I had already clearanced it for the mechanical fan on the front of the 4.7. So I had to modify this to work, but now I have a radiator hose off of the 4.7. It fit perfect. Actually, you can see it right down here. Worked out really well. It's a little dark in here, but you can kind of see it's, yeah. So that's the 4.7 hose right there. It goes up to the water pump, and the upper hose on the other side fit perfect as well. And so that solved that problem. I never had to worry about the coolant hoses or the radiator ever again. But that led to another problem. The reason that I'd lost that coupler was I think the engine overheated. And the reason it overheated is I think that coupler started to melt, started to leak, and basically lost the fluid, and it just got too hot. And the reason I didn't know that it got too hot was because the only thing in this entire vehicle that does not work is the factory coolant temperature gauge in the cluster. Now, I've talked a lot with the company that made my conversion harness, and it's an issue between the 2 years. You got to remember that's a 2005 Tacoma. It's a 2004 Tundra engine. I'm using the 2004 Tundra computer underneath the dash to make the engine run, and the signals that come out of that computer all work except for the coolant temperature, and that has to do with the type of signal that's coming out of the ECU and up to the dash. There's basically a difference between the 2 years. So there is literally no way to make it work, which kind of bums me out because I was super excited about how integrated it was. Like oil pressure gauge, well, it's a light. Oil pressure light, it works. I tested it. It works just fine. So I do have that, and the gas gauge works, and the fuel gauge, or the gas gauge works, the speedometer works, the tachometer works. All those things work. The only thing that doesn't work is the coolant temperature gauge. So I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an aftermarket gauge to this, and after looking around a bunch of different options, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use one of these. I've used these on a couple builds. They're basically a small inline gauge housing. I'm going to put it right up in here in the upper radiator hose, so it'll go between the upper filler and where it goes down into the motor. And then it has a little spot here for the actual sending unit, and then you put a ground on here. And I'll put an aftermarket gauge inside the truck, and that way I'll have that coolant temperature monitoring. It's the only thing that doesn't work, as I said, underneath the hood, talking to the factory instrument panel cluster. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right, so now we have the coolant temperature gauge done. I haven't got a mount for it yet. I just got it basically wedged up here above the steering column. I think I can actually buy a pod mount for the top of this that'll replace this top piece of plastic, and we'll put it right there, which will be the perfect spot for it. But you can see it's kind of just a simple, cool little gauge, nothing fancy. I've just had that temp gauge kicking around forever. I just really want to have it on there. So now let's get to the questions about the truck. So everybody wants to know, did I make the right decision? Am I happy with the V8? And I absolutely am. I think that this 2UZ 4.7 underneath the hood of this Tacoma, it's absolutely perfect. I think it works great. Fuel mileage. What kind of fuel mileage am I seeing? Well, I did ran 3 or 4 tanks through it just to get a good average. Now this is a mix of city and highway driving, and I'm seeing about 18 miles per gallon, which I think is pretty good. I don't remember what the 4-cylinder got. I don't think I ever really paid much attention to it. How much does it weigh? I don't know. Let's find out. All right, so scales in place. Let's check out the weight. That was a question that a lot of people had. And right now it's sitting at a total weight of 3,973 pounds. For some reason, that front right seems to have a lot of extra weight on it. I think it might be because I'm wondering if I have more preload rolled into this coil spring than the other. I may mess around with that now that I know what's going on. Basically what I do is I lift the front up, adjust those collars, probably drop the front right down maybe ½ inch, pick the front left up maybe ½ inch, see what that does. I like to even that out, but you don't notice it when you drive it, to be honest with you, so I don't really know what's going on there. That might take a little bit of further investigation, but that's not bad. Under 4,000 pounds for a V8 powered pickup truck. So the big question everybody has, do I still like the truck? What would I change? And the answer is I love the truck. I absolutely love driving it every day. Would I change anything? Yeah, change one thing. Actually, I got to change 2 things. So number 1, I re-geared it for the 4-cylinder. So it has 5/13 front and rear. It's geared way too low right now. The V8 has so much torque down low that first gear is virtually, it's not useless, but I mean, you're changing out of first gear before the rear. It's like driving a diesel. Like you're into second gear right away. So I got to figure out what gear ratio to go to. I don't know what I'm going to go to. I have a set of 410s and I have a set of 456s, both from Yukon Gear and Axle. And I have a feeling I might end up with the 410s, to be honest with you, just because I think that is going to be a good spot for this truck. And now the other thing I need to change has to do with the next big job that's going to happen to that truck, and that's going to come up in a video in the future. So you're going to have to pay attention to that one. It's going to be a pretty aggressive and big change to this truck. It's not really going to change it a lot. It's still going to be V8 manual transmission, sort of like adventure truck that it is right now. But I have one huge job that I have to do. Now, some of you noticed it in one of the previous videos, and now I finally gathered up all the parts to tackle that job. But that video is going to come later. For now, this, as I said before, was just an update video for this truck. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're thinking of 2UZ swapping a Tacoma, I would highly suggest it. I think the V8 in that truck works perfect. And once I get the gear ratio figured out, it's going to be even better. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump in that truck, drive it home, and we'll see you guys next time. Oh, don't forget, like, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Oh, and stickers are for sale on the website. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.